Hello, and welcome to session 2 of our Mummy the Curse Chronicle Oceans of Eternity. I am your storyteller for today, Trevor. I am joined by some of my good friends. We have Grog Monster, Prez, and Zavloots playing our mummies today. And for those of you that weren't able to join us for our first session, we'll touch on a little recap here. But before that, I have a little quote by James Brown that I think is pertinent. Everything that has ever happened is still happening. Past, present, and future keep happening in the eternity which is here and now. The last time we gathered, our mummies, Seshet, Damos, and Nesret, arose from their timeless slumber and found themselves trapped within unfamiliar coffins. After grappling with the possibility of being entombed alive for all eternity, Seshet narrowly managed to escape. She found herself in a dark, damp cavern with two other sarcophagi. Examining them, she discovered the lids painted with ancient hieroglyphs, bearing the mummies' names and ritual words of binding and entrapment. It seemed, by some quirk of fate, that water dripping from the cavern ceiling fell upon her sarcophagus and smeared the writing, thus weakening the spell binding her. Seshret then freed Damos and Nesret. Nesret had lit a magical flame to illuminate the chamber, and the trio examined the tomb prison they found themselves in. The entrance had been sealed and the corridor beyond collapsed. Seshet found a mosaic bearing her likeness, as well as an image of an ornate box and a scene of an empty city with the sun hidden behind an ashen sky. Damos found a section of the room that had flooded and used the guild secrets of the Taf Abi to locate a hidden chamber within the tomb. Nesret found a weak spot in the cave wall, while Damos and Seshet used their newfound strength to break through it. Beyond the shattered stone wall was a relic sitting upon a pedestal, and an unholy fountain bearing the likeness of Amut. The relic resembled the Jed, an ancient Egyptian pillar which represents stability. Nesret recognized that the relic was almost certainly trapped, but fearless, Seshet claimed the dead Jed regardless. The hidden chamber then morphed into a twisted reflection of Neterkatet, the twilight realm of ghosts and shades. A vicious sandstorm had forced our trio to take shelter within a stone labyrinth. Seshet lost her way within and was accosted by a strange woman's voice that offered aid. Seshet questioned the voice, and it responded with a riddle, and drawing upon the guild secrets of the scribes, Asesha Hebsu, she handily solved the enigma. Flustered, the voice revealed itself as a monstrous Sphinx Umkot, oozing with black ichor and a snake-like tail. The Sphinx tried to play mind games with Seshet, offering the secret to their freedom in exchange for its own. Seshet called upon a mighty utterance, the weighing of the heart, to force the Sphinx to speak nothing but the truth. Reveal that it had been bound by its creator to keep intruders from freeing the trio from their prison tomb, and that a flooded passage had opened recently by which they might escape. Seshet tried to compel the Sphinx to speak more of its creator, but it could not, as it had been bound by a piece of its creator's Ren, the pillar of name. The Sphinx counter-authored and tore open its chest to reveal its black beating heart, glistening with the light of alien stars. It claimed it could use the same magic that bound it to find its creator in exchange for its freedom. Seshet was tempted by the offer, but she felt the heavy hand of her judge, Nefertem, grasping firmly upon her soul, condemning her for the thought of cavorting with such a lifeless creature. There should be only enmity, only blind hatred and seething rage for a creature such as this. And so, Seshet quashed her curiosity and gave in to the will of her judge and refused the Sphinx offer. Using knowledge stolen from the Sphinx, the trio escaped from the prison tomb through a flooded grotto and found themselves on a small, rocky island. Together, they basked in the light of the morning sun, as well as their newfound freedom. And with that, you find yourself brimming with power, and you each observe your surroundings, not through the shriveled sockets where your eyes once were, but through the lens of your raw Sechem. You stand on the beach of some small isle, perhaps a quarter of a mile across. A large hill dominates the island, dotted with shrubs and surrounded by a stretch of rocky beach. On one end of the isle lies some crumbling ruins, partial walls of masonry atop cracked foundations. On the other end of the isle stands a few ramshackle huts around the lingering ashes of a campfire. Beside it, a man of middling age, tan skin and short, graying hair. He wears a robe of long black fabric, decorated with white crosses. He kneels before a shrine of some sort. Upon it, a thick leather-bound codex lies open on the altar, as well as some candles, a small silver cross, and a censer with which emits thin trails of incense into the air. It's a sweet, a warm fragrance, floral notes, some spiced hints of cinnamon and clove. Beyond the old man lies the sea, where waves crash and break below, and gulls squawk above. Several other islands can be seen, some much larger than the isle upon which you stand. Great ships brave the turbulent waters, with rows of oars and billowing sails. The boats sail towards the distant mainland, upon which the slimmest silhouette of a great city can be seen. As you take everything in, as you bask in the light of Ray, it is not the warmth of dawn that greets you, but unexpectedly a chill, one that begins to work its way up your spine. I need each of you to give me a descent roll. Each of you to roll your Sechem to see if you cling on to your godlike power, or if a slim fraction of it bleeds away with the sands of time.
Watch this. I'm gonna fail it. Guarantee this. I'm feeling lucky.
And this is a roll that you want to fail. No successes means that you've clung on to your power for just a bit longer. We have 3 successes for Seshet, and 4 successes for Nesret. Let's see if Tomos can manage 5 successes for Tomos.
I think you're lucky that there's no exceptional successes for
the
rolls.
descent. Yes. A small consolation prize, perhaps. But nonetheless, each of you, that chill that you experience as it begins to build. It kind of works its way up your spine, and it crescendos into a slight icy convulsion, and somehow you each feel just a bit more dead, and each of you will lose a point of second, which should bring each of you down to a still admirable, a still imposing potency of 9, but the sands are starting to slip. That first inkling that your deific power is not one to last, and that time, as precious as it is not on your side. Given this, as you adjust, as you observe your surroundings, what do each of you do? What is your first instinct, your first thought? What words do you share amongst each other as you judge the situation you found yourselves in?
Yeah. Set's probably just enjoying the beauty of life at the moment. Like, this is much better than being in a cave deep underground, and just enjoying the sounds of the beach, and kind of just observing the world around them. And then she probably turns around to her compatriots and notices their very rotted corpses.
Yes. As well, your compatriots notice something strange about you, Sachet. While they still exude this appearance, as constructed as it is by your Sachem, they nonetheless resemble that of a corpse, one brimming with occult power nonetheless, but very much dead. But as your senses adjust to the light, you see that your companion, Sachet, is not the same as the rest of you. Her complexion begins to shift and shudder under the light of the sun, assuming a much more, shall we say, pleasing aesthetic as the semblance of life returns to her withered flesh, skin becoming flush, whole, alive again, of a beautiful image of perhaps who Sachet once was in her living days.
And
that's better.
You want to talk?
I don't have to look at me.
Yeah, but I do. And I take a glance towards that monk on the beach, and I look back at you, and I'm like, And he does as well. Why don't you guys wait here, and I'll go check in with him and see what's happening here.
Be our guest.
Alright, yeah, so with the two withered corpses that are eyes shut, I will approach this robed man.
Alright. So, you make your way over to the collection of huts, campfire, the altar, and the man kneeling before it. And he's speaking something under his breath. A prayer, perhaps. And he seems fairly deep in his contemplation. And as you draw closer, you notice within some of the huts scattered about, there are supplies, shall we say. Not just food and drink, but materials, tools, primitive, say, construction site, in a sense. The priest has been busy putting these things together. Though I'm sure perhaps Sashat might have a more discerning eye, shall we say, for craftsmanship than the work of this priest. It is, well, shoddy, shall we say, but an earnest effort.
Sashat's a scribe, not a carpenter. She probably wouldn't be much better at it, honestly, despite all the divine power.
Yes. Well, you've seen, shall we say, much more sophisticated craftsmanship in your time. You've seen the walls, the mighty, the pillars of Aram, and they do not hold a candle to this priest. And if this is the height of construction in this era, you are sorely disappointed.
Yeah, my architect friend would have words to mince with this man about proper protocol and buildings and whatnot. Yeah. You said like this is like a series of like huts. Is it just the priest here, or is there like anybody else on this island?
No, it appears to be just this priest. He's maybe perhaps 40 or 50 years of age. He's got almost pretty well graying hair and a decently well groomed beard. And he seems fairly, shall we say, content in his seclusion, and seems to be lost in his own little world, praying to whatever gods these humans of this era worship.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to try to. Yeah, I'll approach, and I'm not like doing this like stealthily or anything. And I'll like wait for him to like try to like be finished like with his prayer before I like interrupt him or anything. Yeah. I just end up like coming up behind him, just like waiting a bit to like let him finish up his prayer.
All right. So
I might be undead mummy, but I know when it's rude to interrupt.
Yes. There's an importance to rites and rituals.
Yeah.
You wait. You observe, you listen to the man as he prays to his god. Singular. Strange, perhaps, to you. He asks not for forgiveness, but for guidance. And as he finishes his prayer, he snuffs the incense burner, the censer. He kind of dusts himself off, gets up, and turns around, and promptly kind of jolts as he kind of grasps at his chest slightly, as he's quite shocked to see another soul on what he assumed to be a rather lonely looking island. And the man kind of taken aback, almost takes a few deep breaths to kind of catch himself. And he just says, oh my God, you gave me quite a scare.
Apologize, it was not my intent. I couldn't help but notice you praying.
Well, yes. I'm in a bit of a retreat, I suppose you could call it. But what on earth are you doing out here? How did you even get here? Why would you even come here? And he kind of looks
around like, what's there, birds?
to this small, desolate little island.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I am fine. Thank you for asking. Might I ask who you were praying to?
I'm praying to God, my child.
I haven't heard of that one. Might I ask why you're on this island?
I suppose you could call it a bit of a meditation retreat. I've grown a bit tired, a bit weary, I suppose, of the squabbling, the ecumenical councils, and the politicking of the bishops and patriarchs within the walls of the Church of Holy Wisdom. I find out here it's more peaceful. I can be closer to Christ.
There is a serenity to it, definitely. Who is this Christ?
The man kind of looks at you a bit perplexed. As you seem to not be in on whatever
The latest.
Yes, the latest
Christianity.
And greatest. And the faiths of the mortal world. And nonetheless, he kind of shakes off momentary confusion and he informs you that Christ, my child, our Lord and Savior, are you not familiar?
I'm not.
Have you not heard the good word, my child?
No. What is this word?
The word of God. And he gestures to the codex that sits on the altar. It's a particularly thick manuscript. And it seems perhaps a novel invention for you. Or accustomed to scrolls, to the unfurling of some great document. But there are sheets of not quite papyrus, bound into a small rectangular shape, like multitude of scrolls stacked, folded upon each other. And you can see writing on it. Understanding of it comes as easily to you as does any tongue the mortal realm given you. the gifts of your affinity of amanuensis. And the priest kind of looks at you, and a smile kind of spreads upon his face. And he says, I am, you may call me John. And you are?
I am Sisette. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Set. Now, that's a name I've not heard before. Where do you hail? Set.
Do I even remember the place that has kind of overtaken IRM?
Why don't you either give me, say, memory or academics? I think either of those. Appropriate
Academics?
Intelligence and academics, or a memory. And of course, the answers you might get are going to depend upon which memories you deign to draw upon.
No, I'll go with memory. It's a much worse dice pool for me, but let's give it no.
Maybe you can jar something loose.
No, I don't remember Egypt or anything like that.
The name escapes you. You remember the scenery, perhaps. The
a lot of sand and water.
Sand, a river, but the names escape you.
Yeah. In that case, then I am from IRM.
I've not heard of such a place. Have you traveled far?
I have traveled a lot, pretty far, from my understanding. I'm sorry. Go on. I interrupted.
Are you shipwrecked, my child? This is not a place one would normally come to visit.
Shipwreck? No. Stranded, definitely. Me and my compatriots were kept here on this island. Your prayer drew me to you.
Kept here. I can't recall having seen you before. Now I've been all over the island here. When did you arrive?
I do not know the answer to that question. I've been here as long as my memory tells me for. How long have you been here?
Oh, some time now. 2 weeks. Take a few days. It's been a journey, I suppose you would say. I am here to follow it to its end. Why don't you give me a wits and empathy roll? Should you possess those skills? I mean, or without them. I suppose you can roll with the untrained.
2 successes.
2 successes. You have a decent read on Father John here. He's an earnest man, an honest man. You don't get the impression that he's lying to you by any stretch of it. But there does appear to be something that he's holding back. Just as you have some strange tale of what has brought you to this island, he too seems to be holding some things close to his chest.
I have the sensation that you're not quite telling me everything you know. What burdens you?
Burdens. Burdens. Well, that is... I must say this is an experience I am not accustomed to. Usually I'm on the other end of the confessional.
I can assure you, it's quite novel to me as well.
I am not here for just prayer. A vision, a dream brought me to this isle. One I saw day and night. Every time I slept, I dreamt this island. I thought it a vision, a message from God, I suppose. I saw upon the hill this island, place of worship, a monastery yet built, potential. And as I grappled with the idea, visions grew more severe. I don't wish to speak much more of them, but I knew what must be done, that Christ would be angry if I had not followed his will. Thus I have been out here trying to build a temple upon the mound, and I am no craftsman. I am a priest. But if God wills me to do it, then I suppose I shall. Things have not been so blessed. Tried digging a cistern on the hill. It's hard work digging through the stone, and I plastered the lime. I lined the walls. I thought I had taken my first step on my path. Found that a day later the ground had shifted. The earth had cracked. A leak in my cistern. I watched all my precious rainwater drip away, and rocky earth silent. One can not be discouraged. Test perhaps of my faith. I shall see it through. But
yeah, it's just. Oh, sorry. John.
I've spoken. You,
Yeah, so.
Sergeant. How... I can't help but feel this is providence, I suppose. But perhaps I can do some good work here. But you... Wait. You mentioned companions?
Yes.
More of you here.
There are, but you would not want to see them. Not now.
Oh.
But
I've seen many people in many walks of life. I'm not one to judge. We are all equals before the eyes of God.
I do not believe it is that you were here on the orders of God to build a temple. For your cistern, you said his name was Jacob, right?
John.
John. Yeah, I knew it was a J sound. For your cistern, John, your leak in your system broke my seal, and now I am free of this island. I thank you.
The confusion that you'd initially been met with, it had kind of been diffused up until now, but you mentioned that a seal has been broken.
Seal broken, and you did it. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that.
And something about that does not sit right with John the priest, and he is more confused. Seal, free. I'm sorry. I do not follow. What?
A long time ago, I was imprisoned on this island, stranded. And I was kept here under a seal. Your cistern that sprung a leak, it damaged my seal deep underground. You freed me, John. It allowed me to escape.
I'm a humble man, Seshet. I am not one for jest. I do not get what manner of game you aim to play with me.
Yeah.
Seshet, why don't you see how well you can convince John Priest here of the veracity of your claims? Why don't you give me sounds like persuasion, probably, unless you have something else in mind.
I think I'll go persuasion. Unless I can somehow wrangle it and socialize instead, but persuasion works. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let's do persuasion. That seems probably the most applicable here.
I will spend a single pillar point to activate my affinity Divine Countenance, which lets me reinforce my social attributes the same way as my physical attributes. So at some point, like Sisek kind of just seems like more real to this man. Like everything else, like around him, is like a sort of like pale, like shadow imitation of its own self, as her presence skyrockets up to 9.
Whew! Whew!
Yeah.
That's some presence right there.
Mm-hmm. And as a ride-along effect with Divine Countenance, I achieve exceptional success on any roll using the reinforced social attribute with 3 successes rather than 5. So those 4 successes are an exceptional success right there.
An exceptional success. You earnestly, tell the tale of your story is as short as it is, considering it's only just begun. And the priest kind of looks on in odd sense of amazement, of wonder, as if you were some saint, some angel who has come to him on this island, or something nearly divine. And the priest kind of drops to his knees, and hear him utter another prayer to his God. And the priest John looks up at you, and you see him clutching his cross in his hand, and he says, What are you? Are you an angel that has come to me? Are you like Lazarus, emerged from his tomb? Tell me what you are. Tell me what I must do.
I am merely a servant, John, like you, for much higher power. And we all have our roles to play, like you breaking my seal. If it would not be too much to ask, I would ask that you help me and my accomplices leave this island.
Yes. Yes. Yes, of course. Well, forgive me, Sasha. May I call you Sasha?
You may.
Forgive me, but I am stuck here as much as you are. Now, at least for the time being, one of my associates, a deacon, friend of mine, he comes every few days, bringing me supplies, food, water, that sort of thing. He should be here tomorrow, perhaps. He might be able to take you, to help you leave this island. But forgive me, I've chosen seclusion. I've chosen a path of no return that I might be better motivated to fulfill my duty. But you, I know not what gifts God has given unto you, but perhaps in his infinite and holy wisdom, he might provide other means. There are other boats. Perhaps you might be able to draw their attention. I do not know.
I look at the boat that's anchored, and I look back to John. Is that not your boat?
Now, if you remember, I did not mention there being any boat anchored to the isle. I did mention boats sailing out on the ocean, but there's no boat here. There's no dinghy. There's no little raft. He's been brought out by his friend Deacon, and he's remained on this island. He doesn't even leave. He's having a subordinate within the church.
Yeah, sorry, I thought there was a boat anchored on the island. I apologize.
All good.
Yeah. Yeah. In that case, maybe as well spend more pillar points. I got them to spare, don't I? I will spend another point of ab and unleash another utterance. I will unleash dreams of dead gods. And the timeless of the power of the judges of death slumbers within the Arisen, awaiting only to taste the sweet sacrament to awaken. Its utterance, the mummy awakens the same divinity others, the mummy, yeah, blah, 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 blah. Basically, I assigned a task, and that task is to ferry me off this island to Constantinople today.
Very well. You put out a
Very-
call, into the cosmos. Your will working its way into the mind of some poor soul, condemning them to make this journey out here, lest they be harried with visions, with nightmares of the punishments that await them in Duat. But such things take time. And while you are here speaking with the priest, with Father John, our other companions, Thamos, Nasret, you've been told to take a bit of a back seat, as it were, given your, well, horrific visage, looking every part, the mummified corpse that each of you are. You've been left to your own devices. Find yourself, on this island. You see Sachet conversing with this priest by his little dwellings. See the ruins of some settlement, crumbling walls of masonry, and the island itself is rather threadbare aside from that. A kind of lone, rocky hill kind of dominates the landscape, and find bits of hardy, shrubs that have managed to find purchase here. And you as well can see the city in the distance on the far shore, as well as these other islands nearby, closer. And that of these great ships. A surprising number of them, perhaps to you, making their way across this great body of water. Slowly but surely sailing towards that great city. For Amos, something clicks for you as well. A familiar sensation that you become aware of. The secrets of your guild, your affinity, the nexus of the soul. It permits you to keep tabs, shall we say, on those who have proven themselves worthy of your right of investment. And you sense it now. A piece of yourself elsewhere, a pillar of your very being entrusted to another one, to an inheritor. You sense your chosen, your vessel lies approximately 4 miles to the east, where you can spy another island, larger than this one. More than that, become aware of their condition, their disposition, the bond that you share. Something is wrong. Inheritor, he's in distress. There's a pain that plagues him, both physically and mentally. You can feel through these mystical threads. And the knowledge comes to you again. Through these threads, through these lines of power, you might speak to them, should you wish. Your words traveling distance from mind to mind, or should you wish to pry further for a point of willpower, you can even ride their senses, seeing as they see. What do you...
I choose to see through their senses, to get another visualization of this land, and maybe see what troubles them before I speak.
Your senses warp and distort as you borrow your inheritor's eyes, their ears, and the world around you becomes a bit of a blur, as it were. Almost two environments kind of beginning to layer themselves between each other, and with force of will you can focus on one of these images, and you see as your cultist sees, and unfortunately it's not much. You find yourself, or should I say, find yourself in the body of your inheritor, gazing upon a cramped chamber, confined chamber, much like yourself, or at least as you were not too long ago. Your inheritor is also a prisoner. He sits within a cell, locked behind bars of metal. And you see as he sees, you see the cold, forgiving stone he has to lay upon. You smell the caked in, the pungent reek of offal, urine, kind that has been there for far too long. It's soaked into the stones. Your inheritors, for lack of a better, shall we say, rotting away in this cell. And your inheritor, although you cannot see their face, but you can see as they do, he appears to be a man, perhaps hard to say an exact age, perhaps 30 odd years, 40, though it's difficult to ascertain without seeing his face. But his body is scarcely clothed. There's filthy rags is all that he can claim as his vestments. And more than that, you can see the bruises, scars, the bits of dried blood. The inheritor has been beaten. He, in a sense, is broken. As a place like this, as prison breaks You can see beyond the walls of this cell opens out into a larger structure lined with other similar cells. There are others as well in similar states of distress, trauma, who sit in their cells. Some weep quietly, some pick the walls, scratching away. A man bearing a short sword and some measure of armor, of a plate over some over tunic. He stands watch over this room, although he seems, hard to say, indignant, offended almost. It's here that he is present, wallowing in this filth and squalor like the rest of them. But why don't you, let's say, either an intelligence and academics, or say, or perhaps investigation or crafts. I think either of those could be appropriate to get a better sense of where you are, of any other clues that you might be able to gather from your surroundings.
So intelligence and investigation is a possibility, is that what you said? Or
yeah,
just investigation?
I could see that. I could also see, the attribute and the skill together, yes. Or perhaps academics or crafts.
Yeah, I'll do intelligence investigation.
Very well.
Oh, come on. And roll 20 isn't giving me some problems here. Oh, here we go.
Got it?
Sorry about that. Yeah, one sec. So I think my connection was up when I went bad for a second there.
Try refreshing that usually.
Yeah, I just did that. It's just loading right now. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, well, while you're doing that, we'll cut away to
Yeah.
to Nesret. So you find yourself in a similar situation as I've described, this island, the ships in the distance, the city beyond that. You see Thomas is almost lost in thought, kind of like staring out into the sea. You see Seshet speaking to this priest, and you also see some ruins. The island, some crumbling walls, bits and pieces of some settlement long since abandoned. What do you wager that you're doing, as the other two seem preoccupied? What direction does Nesret? What calls to him? You're muted. Muted. Yeah, that's alright. Go ahead.
It's one appears to be zoned out, and the other one's being a bit of a social butterfly. I think I'll get a little bored. I'm gonna go check out those ruins.
Yeah. All right. You head over that way. As you are heading to the ruins, cutting back to Tomos quickly here, with 2 successes on the investigation. You do notice something odd, shall we say, about your surroundings. This is a prison of sorts, but structure that you find yourself in, or should I say, you find your inheritor in. It seems to have been retrofitted for the purpose of the prison. It seems to be a much older structure, quite old. And it seems the bars, the cells that have been constructed are more recent additions. Someone's been adopting an old building for a new purpose. And judging from the rather, shall we say, Spartan accommodations, you get the implication that this is perhaps a military structure of some kind. The walls are heavy stone, reinforced, but it doesn't bear the ornamentation, the decoration of a temple or some other personal dwelling. Gives you the impression of some sort of military installation, a fort, a tower, a walled structure, some kind of defensive structure. As you ponder that, what is your next move? Do you kind of block that away and check up on some of the others, or do you want to reach out more directly?
He wants. Thomas wishes to speak to his inheritor. He doesn't feel as though this is good enough to leave alone.
Very well. Before we open up that line of mystical communication, Nesret, you make your way to the remnants of a settlement here on this island. It doesn't take you too long. The island is pretty small. It's a rather peaceful little walk through the rocky outcroppings to reach the small beach. Here, you find a number of small structures. Atop cracking foundations sits partial walls of brick and mortar, remnants of buildings long forgotten, battered by wind and waves. Find shards of broken pottery that litter about the floor. You can see in the crystal blue waters of the beach the makings of a harbor now buried beneath silt, shallow waters. And perhaps you too will one day be washed away until there is nothing left. A blank slate for your judges to inscribe their inscrutable will. Why don't you give me a, say, an intelligence and academics roll, or perhaps crafts, if you have either or care to use either, or should you desire, a wits and investigation, or perception check, perhaps a wits and composure, either to let's just search the site or ponder its secrets.
Let's go intelligence and academics.
Sure. 2 successes. Something does click with you. You recognize what's left of the style. You see that it's not mere brick and mortar, but the work of concrete. The admirable building material. And as you ponder that, the concrete, you understand what it is, the structure, the uses it has in building. But it's not just any concrete. There's another bit there, another shred. Those that used this concrete, those known, shall we say, for this style, this architecture. Bit of recollection strikes your mind. Roman. Yes, Roman. This is the work. The Romans. Settlement. Theirs. Though clearly it's been left for quite some time. Though you're not perhaps entirely sure why. Though you could certainly attempt to hazard a guess. And more than that, you see bits and pieces, of the lives that were once lived here. There's quite a bit of, I would say, detritus to sift through. But through that, you perhaps wonder where you recall this fact from. Is this something that you'd learned, or was it something that you'd experienced? Why don't you give me a memory roll? Three dice.
Yeah, just curious if. Oh, no.
Oh! A single success. Something comes through the flicker of a memory. This isn't mere academic knowledge. No, there's something personal here. This bricks, these concrete. There's a sense of familiarity. And you recall working with them. Don't recall where you learned secrets. This material is this concrete, but you know that you had used it, that you had instructed others in using it. Build something. But the memory escapes. You don't recall what you built, only that you envisioned something that would stand the test of time, something that you might return to again, again. Lives. Testament. Skill. Legacy. But you don't recall where structure is, if it still stands. What you did to build. You only remember working the material in your hands. And
Is there a
and
building that?
and more than that, not, how do I put this? There's a glimmer of inspiration, as it were, that you dimly recall other buildings, not yours, but you had seen the works of men, of Romans, and you had marveled what they had done. Sought perhaps to emulate, perhaps to improve on it. But these are all conjectures. You're grasping for threads. To answer your question, there doesn't appear to be any such structures within your sight. Just these crumbling ruins. Just an echo of an echo triggering some dim recollection within you. But perhaps you might find more. Did see far in the distance the silhouette of this great city. Perhaps there might be more architecture there, more inspiration, yes, that might jog.
There was the starts of a harbor, right?
Yes. Did you want to poke through the detritus, see if you can? Are you looking to find something amongst the rubble, or are you trying to figure out why the settlement? What are you trying to get at? Spies.
I guess.
Harbor.
Oh. I guess I'm mostly looking for something, like any, I guess, symbols or writings or
Yeah. Why don't you
evidence of stuff.
Yeah. Why don't you either give me, say wits and composure. That's probably the most applicable standard perception roll. Though I could see an argument for wits and investigation as well.
Oh. I'll try to do wits and investigation. Pulling from my memories. I worked here. There must be something pulling me to something. Maybe. Oh. I got 2 successes.
All right. So you look out. You start poking through detritus, trying to find something. And it's a few things that you to find. There's not much left, but a small bronze mirror and a child's doll. What do you do?
Yeah, I'll pick up the doll. I'll examine the doll.
It's pretty battered, pretty beaten. It's honestly a bit of a miracle that it's survived this long. But you look into it, and it doesn't quite jog anything. It you try to get something flowing from these items, but just that. Perhaps there is something to it, but these things come and these things go. Nothing seems to speak to you within this doll here, but you what do you do with these two items? Do you tend to keep the doll? Do you even want to look at yourself in the mirror?
You know, I'll look at myself in the mirror. I imagine I haven't seen myself.
It is not perhaps a pleasant image, as you are confronted with your undead visage, the bandages around your face, the withered skin kind of pulled taut against your bones, little wisps of hair still clinging to your scalp, and these empty, sunken, shriveled eye sockets. This void that you are looking into and looking back into yourself. And you are reminded that although you walk, talk, you think, you are very much dead. But alive, in a sense. But you have died. But you will die. Again. Again. How do you feel about looking into your reflection? Are you horrified by the undead monstrosity that greets you, or think you've grown accustomed to this? What's going through Nesret's head as he stares at his reflection?
I think I could use a new skincare routine.
Perhaps. Though you do recall dimly that this is not to last. That at some point, can't say how long, but your life, your vitality, the appearance of who you once were will return to you in time, as it did for Sachet. But for now, you are stuck at this, at yourself, and that is an uncomfortable truth, I suppose, that Nesret was grappling with. And as Nesret is gazing into the mirror, looking at his reflection, trying to jog memories, trying to piece together what he was, let's go back to Tamos, as Tamos reaches out and speaks to his inheritor.
Uh-oh.
Oh, speaking of
Oh, he died.
Nesret,
Ah.
we just lost Nesret. Oops. Hopefully, back in. Well, change of plans then.
We
Well,
could take an early break.
yeah, if you guys are down for an early break, we can go ahead and call a little recess here.
Yeah.
You guys feel like that?
Give him a few minutes. We'll probably be back.
All right, sounds good. We're gonna take a little break here, and we'll be right back. Hopefully with Prez. Be back in just a couple minutes. And we are back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. But back into... We had just left off before our little... Returning to Tomos. As Tomos was about to reach out to his inheritor, using his guild affinity, the Nexus Soul. So, with this, what words do you send to? What message do you bequeath from on high to your inheritor as he suffers in this prison?
Sorry, quick clarifying question. I can essentially have a mental conversation with him, right? Or can he only hear what I say to him?
It is a call and response. So yes, you can.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
speak and he can respond in kind.
Okay. Just making sure. Inheritor, listen closely, for your Arisen speaks to you now. Tell me your name.
There's a pause. Long pause. And a voice answers in return. The ill wind blows. I am Vitalius.
Vitalius. Why are you in this cell?
My lord, I have been captured. I've been taken. I've been held against my will. My lord, where have you been? That is presumptuous of me. I should not question you.
Do not
Forgive me.
Do not feel afraid. I'm not really in a position to be short. I believe that I've been sealed in a tomb that I do not recognize. I escaped with 3 other Arisen, and there was some kind of marking on our tombs, making it more difficult for us to escape. Unfortunately, that's all I can recount. We've just gotten out of our subterranean location. We're on an island at the moment, but where, I have no clue. Please, Vitalius, tell me more about where we are right now. I am completely lost as to, well, the time and the place, honestly.
I cannot speak for you, Amos. I know not where you are. There are many islands in these lands. But perhaps
I can sense you are much closer than I think you believe. So trust me when I say we are probably relatively close. Tell me where you are then, if that makes things easier.
Yes. I suppose that much I can do. I am on the island of Prote. And if you are close, if you are near... To think you've been here all this time. Ah. Forgive me. I thought you gone. None of us could find you. Much has happened since you've last been with us. Do you not recall, my lord?
I'm afraid right now my memory is quite poor. You're going to have to fill me in on what happened after I last went to rest.
Well, I cannot speak of whence you were last put to rest. We knew not where you had laid your head. But I can speak of when you were last... when you had last awakened.
Yes, start there.
Yes. The last time I had seen you, my lord, you'd given me a gift. The right you had invested in me. For it was turbulent times. Riots had broken out in the city. Constantinople burned. Thousands had perished. I thought in the chaos we had lost you. And in the aftermath we had lost each other. I'm sorry. Forgive me. You asked where. I've heard from some of the others that your mind can be clouded by your return from the sunless realms. Perhaps I can illuminate what I think is to be true. You and I are not far from the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire. We are perhaps a few miles from its great capital, Constantinople. Justinian still reigns upon his throne in the imperial palace, just as he had when he last walked the city's streets. I'd hoped you might be able to speak more of what had happened to you, but perhaps it will come in time.
I believe it will. As I get my bearings, I think I will remember more of what happened. But first tell me, how did you end up in this prison you are currently in?
It has been a long time. After the riots, many of the faith had gone missing. As you had. Many been killed. But it was not just chaos. The fire. Someone, something came for us. I believe we were targeted. The chaos. Many things happened in those days, and I narrowly had escaped with my life. When I had tried to reconvene with the others, when I had tried to reach out to you, I received no response. Could not find the others. I tried to return to your resting place, that I might find you or others. But I found someone been watching, observing the most secret and holy of places. And I knew then that this was more than pure chaos. I did not return your tomb, my lord, out of fear of what might result. You had commanded us to keep our identities hidden, my lord, to remain in the shadows, and that is what I have done for as many years, waiting for you to return. I tried over the years to find others, but I assumed they too went underground. Perhaps they too realized the threat. I suppose I could. I know some of them still might be out there, but I've tried not to risk exposure for myself or for the others. We've been waiting, praying for your return, that you might provide guidance, a beacon that we might return to. But I must admit I had grown complacent. Years turned to the way things had been before I had been called into your service, and perhaps a month or so ago. It's hard to keep track of time here. Don't get to see the sun days at a time. But one of our ilk had reached out to me after all these years, and I perhaps said too much hope and not enough suspicion, which was a trap. I'd been captured. And Here is where I find myself now, in the prison island. I shall not bore you with the tales of what I have endured, for I know you have endured much more. They have tried to break me, my lord, but I have resisted. They wish to know of the others, of the faithful, of the order. I know not what they want, why they seek us after this time. Now that you are here, everything changes. I hope. What would you have me do? Which way shall the ill wind blow?
I must first find a way to get off this island. When I do, I will come to collect you. Your faith and loyalty will be rewarded, my friend. I will free you from your prison. And after you've had some opportunity to recoup, we will find the betrayer and make him pay. Afterwards, well, I suppose I should continue to gather information, but in the back of my mind, I wish to rebuild our order and reconnect with those who still are loyal to it. For now, my inheritor, sit tight and remain strong. I will be there as soon as possible, and I will break you from your captivity.
As you wish.
I only ask for your patience for a little while longer.
I've waited nearly a decade. I can wait some more. With that, what does Tomos intend to do?
He really does intend to get his servant out, but he needs to figure out a way to get off the island. He might go talk to Chesset when she finally moves away from the priest, or I don't know that yet, but the character on the side of the island, and see if they can come up with a plan to get off.
Well,
Probably noticed by this time that the priest is like on his knees in front of the set, a worshipful pose. Very.
He'll raise a withered eyebrow.
Well, speaking of Sachet, why don't we return to you as you've spoken with the priest John, and you've cast a net, as it were, into the minds of men, hoping to lure some sailor to this island. As you wait for your dreams, your missives, your visions to work their magic, what do you do in the meantime?
Yeah, I actually have something in mind. John, my compatriots, Their forms cannot be easily comprehended by mortal men. I will need a robe of some kind to cover them. Do you have this?
Yes. Yes. Whatever you desire. If it pleases you. And he like kind of like gets up out of his knees and he rushes into one of the ramshackle huts, and you hear the sounds of him rustling through items, and he emerges with the spare robe, and he looks at you with the rather plain, almost like a brown tunic, something a commoner, a rather simple, rather plain robe, as it were. As he presents it to you, he kind of hesitates a bit, and he says, "Companions, how many are with you?"
Only 2.
And she kind of looks at the one robe that he has, and he hands it to you. And then you see John, he begins to undo his own robe, and he folds the priest's robe, and he hands his own clothes to you, now only clad in his underwear. A simple,
Thank you, John.
simple little ornament of chastity before the Lord. But
Thank you, John. You are
hands-
truly a devoted servant.
yes, you say.
Can I
gives you the literal clothes off of his back.
Can I get a point of willpower from my burden there? Dominant when I feel like I'm lording my power over this man by just having him disrobe his clothes.
Yeah, sure. You know what? That sounds pretty dominant. Of like, yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that too. Yeah. Go ahead and take that point of willpower back as you lord your dominance as shall we say, first among equals in the realm of servants to higher powers. And yes, now 2 rather plain robes you have with which to dress your, shall we say, unsightly companions.
I'm doing this for the good of everyone involved. I think we'd rather see a naked priest than a undead mummy horror.
A small burden to bear.
Yes.
So
make sure you are rewarded aptly for your sacrifice.
So I'm guessing you return to Thomas and Nesret and present them with some clothes.
Yeah, this guy was only too happy to sacrifice his clothes for you.
How does how do the 2 of you react to be given these robes? Are you okay with this plan? Are you how do you feel about this?
Thomas is okay with covering his face. Finding a way to make it cover his face. If he has to tear shreds off it to wrap it around like a scarf or something. But
Or just have
yeah,
like a
he'll
big
take the
hood
rope.
up, Jedi style.
If it has that, I'll do it.
Yeah, you might have to make a couple alterations to get precisely what you seek. You know, your nice little face mask. So desire, but nothing more than tearing a piece of the cloth to wrap around your face. And what of Nesret? How do you feel about being presented with this priest's robes. How do you feel about wearing the vestments of another man of the faith?
Oh, I'll probably examine it for a little bit and look at it. Maybe a little bit of disgust, but at the end of the day, I guess it's better than nothing. So I'm gonna look like a Sith Lord.
All right, you throw on that black robe and do your best to conceal the death and decay. With the two of you thoroughly robed, and Sasha perhaps less so, but less of a need to disguise oneself. What do you intend to do now? Do you have more that you wish to do here or with the priest, or do you bide your time on the island as you wait for Seshet from magic to bring someone to you?
Yeah, I'll probably just wait. I don't have anything else in mind. Actually, probably meditate. Meditate on my memory to try to restore some pillars.
Sure. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give me...
A bit tricky without my tomb.
Yeah, you don't quite have the lovely geometry, sacred architecture to bolster yourself.
2 successes.
Hey, pretty admirable for 3 dice. But yes, you managed to spend the time meditating and find some success, just as the priest John has found some success in the peace and serenity of the secluded. For Tamos and Nesrat, anything you guys would like to do left on this island, or do you two wait as well for fate to take its course?
Probably we'll just wait and maybe try to remember his. Maybe try to focus on his duties to his judge, so that he can mentally prepare himself for once they leave the island.
Very well.
You know, I'll bring up I found the ruins of a harbor, or some remains of a harbor. I take you guys there, and then I'd like to look around it some more. I don't know, just finding stuff, digging through it.
Well, we got.
Have you found?
Sure. Do you want
Go
to
ahead.
take? Do you want to take? Guessing Amos with you as Sasha meditates.
Oh,
I
mean, I'm offering
I'm
it to
fine with
them
that.
all. I'm letting them all know.
I could certainly use something to pass the time.
Yeah.
A little more interesting, I promise.
To pick through the ruins of some long abandoned settlement, and you do. You take them to the ruins of the settlement, Nesrat, and show them much the same that you had seen: the crumbling walls, the cracked foundations, the harbor buried beneath silt and seawater. And as you walk through the bits and pieces of this forgotten life. Something jogs memory. Not within you, but within as you walk here. Left out on top of the rubble, Titus, this child's doll, one that Nesret had found earlier. And the ruin itself doesn't bring you any sense of recollection as it had for Nesret. But you find yourself drawn to the doll for some reason. Give me a memory roll.
No. Oh wait, I can just re-roll that.
Or for Tom.
That was for me.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, impressive! 2 successes on 3 dice again.
That was me.
Oops, that was nice.
Yeah, that was.
I got too
What a
excited.
waste of a roll.
Yeah, right.
You know what? He can have it if he wants it.
Nice try.
Damn. Let's see. Memory.
Be three dice.
3d10.
See if you can also get 2.
2 successes.
You do! Oh my goodness! What is with you guys?
Oh wait, shouldn't I
need to re-roll
I need to re-roll one.
You would get to
'Cause-
roll that 10. Yes, 10s do explode.
4.
Okay, still 2 success. That's pretty good.
Nonetheless, everyone 2 successes on 3 dice. That's solid. That's pretty good. So you follow that thread as you're drawn towards this doll, and pick it up, examine it. It's pretty well worn, battered. But it stirs something within you, something that bubbles back up to the surface. You hear a girl's bubbling after you turn towards it. And this vision, you see a silhouette of a girl spinning, her arms outstretched, holding a doll's hands in her own. You can't quite make out her face. Squint, try and concentrate. The image blurs until all you see is locks of her long black hair wildly dancing in the setting sun. The vision fades as the girl's laughter does. And as you return back to the present, well, the vision has left you, has left a strange, almost bittersweet feeling in its place.
I'll hold on to the doll.
Keep the doll. Very well.
Perhaps if nothing else, it might jog another memory later.
You pocket doll. And time passes. You wait. You wait. For fate is a fickle thing. It does as it does, acts upon its own design. But these things will happen, and they do happen after a rather unpleasant wait. A few hours, perhaps, poking about the Isle. A vessel veers off course. It makes its way towards the island. It's a small ship, single length of oars, of rows upon it, and a sail, not a military vessel by any means, but merchants, perhaps. As the vessel makes its approach towards the isle, towards the shallows near the priest's hut, you get a better view within. There's perhaps a dozen men on this vessel, manning the sails, the oars. The vessel pulls into, not quite into the harbor, or I should say the harbor, but the shallows, not wishing to ground itself. But the vessel gets within earshot, a short distance off the coast. And you see, presumably, the captain of this vessel overseeing those rowing. He walks across the length of the ship to its front, and he peers at the beach a lot. And he kind of shouts, trying to garner attention off the shallows. And you hear the grizzled sailor shouting, "Is everything all right over there?"
Yeah. Quick question: is this still the same scene, or is it a new one?
Let's push this into a new scene. I think it's been a couple hours.
Cool. Yeah, I guess so. Yes, the set will shout back at the man. We are fine, but we are stranded on this island. We'd very much appreciate it if you could take us along with you on your journey to Constantinople.
I figured you might have been. And he kind of looks about his men, kind of judging the room, the space he has aboard his vessel, and seems pleased enough. And he hollers back to you. It's your lucky day. Come on.
Yeah, and I'll stride into the shallow waters and get onto the boat.
What do you do? I should say, what do you have in mind for John, for the priest who's?
Oh, is he coming along?
That's what I'm asking you. Are you intending to leave him here to continue his work, or are you?
Leave that choice to him.
Have you been trying to manipulate him into your service?
I maybe might be manipulating him like a little bit. Yeah. Sisette doesn't like command him to like come along, but she's definitely trying to like give up that sort of aura of, you know, the saint thing that he said. So it's more like she's not asking him to go, but she like the way she's like been talking and positioning herself in it, she's trying to get him to be, no, I want to go with you.
Yeah. And in awe of presence, he's been humbled, and in the time that you've been meditating, he's been praying feverishly as well. And as escape looms for the lot of you, we have Father John, who sees a lot of you needing to make your egress, and for a moment, John seems a bit lost, and he looks out at you, Seshet, and he's kind of stammers like, Where do you head now? What lies in store next?
Do I remember where my tomb is?
You give me a memory roll.
Yeah. Here we go. 3 successes.
Holy
Look at
moly! You guys are on a roll with memory today. Jeez. Things are really starting to jog in your guys' heads.
Yeah.
You do recall, yes, a tomb within this city is, I've no doubt that, Tamos has shared his, knowledge of the situation with a lot of you. I'm sure in the intervening hours he's brought the rest of you up to speed on where you now find yourselves, which perhaps gives you the context in which to find these memories. And you recall a tomb in the city. Yes. A hidden place, concealed within the Mangana quarters, beneath the derelict palace, entrance, a tomb you once called home.
Yes, and I will look towards John, and I'll be. I am heading to the Mangana quarters. There is something there I need. Something there of mine.
And what am I to do? I've freed you. What part, what role am I to play now? What is that all? Is there Is there more that must be done?
Man, I kind of feel a bit evil just like manipulating this man.
Yeah. What about it?
Yeah. Yes. John, I do not have all the answers. There are things that are even obfuscated from me. Only you can answer that question. What do you think needs doing? You thought that there needed a temple to be on this island, and it brought you here. Look inside yourself.
And John ponders that for a moment, and once again you hear the shout of the captain trying to usher you on to the vessel as it bounces in the waves. And John looks at the vessel, looks at you, and looks the island at his makeshift temple, and realizes that perhaps the temple was just to bring him to you. You seem to serve some higher purpose. At least in his mind, doing the Lord's work.
Yes, the
And-
Lord's work. Yes, I specifically
Yes.
serve his Lord. Yes.
Yes. At least through his, shall we say, perception of things. You referenced higher powers and all that. But nonetheless, he kind of mutters a plea, as it were, and he looks at you again, this old man and his skivvies on this beach, and John says, if you would guide me, I would follow. I know not what I need to do, but the Lord has brought me to you, and perhaps through you I can know what must be done, what my purpose is, my place in his grand design. I don't know why, but I can feel him working through you. I'm sure of it. You speak with the tongue of fire, and I'm compelled to listen.
Then join me, John, and find your place in this universe.
John, as you make your offer to join him, he goes to grasp what few belongings he has left on the island, the cross, his scriptures, and he wades in the lakes. Go. And with that, you all managed to scramble aboard this vessel. Tamos and Nesrat, I imagine you're doing your best to kind of sit in the back, avoid people looking in at your rather shows a pale complexion, and generally trying to remain beneath notice. But as you all get on board and the captain bids the men to row, once again, he looks towards the lot of you, and he says, kind of restates, I guess. Where to? Constantinople?
If you wouldn't mind, please. Yeah. Susette's gonna try to cover for her companions and try to draw the attention of the imagine the captain's speaking to her, and the crew kind of looks over towards the group of strangers on the boat, and she's trying to talk and arrange the situation in such a way that they're not paying attention to the other two guys in the robes.
Yeah.
To avoid yeah.
So, yeah, you try to draw attention from the others. Why don't you give me, I think, presence and socialize as you try to command the scene and make sure everyone's attention is on you, the center of this little event.
No problem here. I'm just not I'm very good at socialize or anything. Well, what you know, an exceptional success.
Beautiful. You have no trouble in drawing the attention of these sailors. You are, at least in their eyes, a damsel in distress, a stranded woman in need of their help. And they are enraptured by your presence, your magnetic personality. And a lot of you set sail, making your way towards the city, the great city of Constantinople. And as the men beat their oars, as they row, the sails unfurl and catch the wind, Tomos, you notice something. That the connection that you bear with your inheritor. You were quite close when you had first started, but as the vessel begins to lead on towards Constantinople, the distance between you and your inheritor grows. You can spy the island which they side. And why don't you give me a perception check? Well, you're at it. What's composure? A single success. So, as the vessel sets sail, pushes onwards, your vantage point of the island is to shift ever so slightly. And as you push onwards, you see something that confirms your, say, suspicions. There is a fort on this isle. Stone structure of quite some age, though still standing. You can make out a crude kind of low wall around this fort, and a high tower jutting out in the middle of it. And to the best of your instincts, shall we say, this is perhaps, or quite possibly, a location in which Inheritor is being held against their will. What do you do? Do you want to try and push for a change of course, or do you wish to leave your Inheritor for a while longer? Where do your
first of all,
priorities
I want to move quietly over to Chesset and kind of whisper, "Ask the captain, what fort and is that, and what island? Please be swift. I must know quickly."
Yeah, I look over towards the fort, and then I glance over towards the captain, and furnish him with a smile, and I tilt my head at the island. I'm like, what is that island over there?
And the captain kind of looks at you and he smiles, and the other men are in rather jovial moods as well. And he kind of puts a foot, on the edge of the ship and kind of like, in a dramatic fashion kind of peers out. And he's like, "Ah, yes, that. Antigone. A lovely that fort over there. It's it's quite old. They say it was built back in the days of the God King, Alexander. One of his dioduchies. And Antigonus, Monothalmus, he constructed that fort there, though it still stands, but it has not been used in centuries.
Thomas walks back up to Seshet. "I believe one of my inheritors is in that fort. You do not need to accompany me if you do not wish, but I must get to that island and free him. If you wish, you can go to the city and drop me off alone. Come back for me tomorrow. But that is up to you."
Okay, we'll go towards the city. I'll leave you to your own devices. Do you want us to leave you there?
Yes. Have the captain drop me off there. Say I'm very intrigued by the island of the fort and wish to explore it. Find a way to get back to me tomorrow, but other than that, tell him you'll go straight to the Constantinople once you're done and try to learn things as best you can. Does that sound like a fair arrangement? I don't want to risk it.
What of Nesret? Are you telling him much the same to head to Constantinople?
I'll let him know I'm telling him, I will say I'm planning to go to the island myself, or otherwise he may go back to Constantinople on the boat.
I look towards the captain again. I don't suppose we could sail a little closer to the island. The fort's quite intriguing.
well, for you, I suppose. And he, kind of claps his hands, and the pitch of the oars begins to shift. The men kind of steer the boat.
They're only too happy to.
Yes, a bit askew as they change course towards the isle. And, Nesret, the offer's been made to you as well that Tamos must rescue an inheritor who remains in this fort. Do you wish to accompany him, or do you wish to accompany Seshet and return to Constantinople?
I will not be offended either way.
Where do you interests
do what's best for you.
align? It's calling to. That's right.
Davia?
The Hellenistic fort or the great city of
Yeah.
Constantinople?
I will
Decisions.
ask. Well, drawing a blank on names here. I'll ask if you think you'll need my help with him. With your follower.
Perhaps I'm being a bit arrogant, but I believe I can get him out myself. If you wish to help me, though, that would be greatly appreciated.
You know what? I'll help.
All right.
I don't quite know what I'm looking for yet here.
Your help would be greatly appreciated.
All right.
He
Does
turns,
seem we are connected some way.
he turns towards Seshet. Well, I suppose Nesret and I will be on this island until tomorrow. Will you be all right going back to Constantinople on your own?
I will be.
All right, then all I ask is you send for some kind of boat for us tomorrow.
Is there like a port on that island I see? Like, does it have its own boats?
Yes, there is in fact a small vessel. And
Well, never mind then.
a makeshift port, I should say, as the ship kind of makes its little sightseeing, shall we say, cruise closer to the island.
Well, then I'll see you. I guess we can get our own way back. We'll try to meet up. We'll try to meet up by the port, then wherever it is in Constantinople.
I'll be seeing you then.
All right. When it gets close enough, I'm gonna to the shells. I'll jump in and move to the island.
I'm assuming Nesret does much the same. And
Oh yeah.
thus we split. Two of you hop onto Digoni, and Seshet and our dear father, Priest John, make their way towards the opposite city of Constantinople. We shall... Let's start briefly with... Let's pick up with two of you next time, I think. And let's do one more thing as Seshet sails John. So it doesn't take you too long to sail to the city. It's perhaps 8 miles or so from a chain of islands to harbor city. And as the city comes into it's a magnificent sight. It's a awe-inspiring. Though for you, that is a determination side. Whether it matches or pales in comparison to the mighty city of Arem, if you can even recall its great and terrible splendor. But this is nonetheless an achievement of its own. The city built on a set of hills. You spy a great wall. The city itself is on a bit of a peninsula, as it were, surrounded on three sides by water and a strip of land, and across this entire strip of land, these great and magnificent walls block this entire city off from the outside. These near seemingly impenetrable walls, a feat of engineering, as it were. But more impressive than that is the building that stands among others. A temple, perhaps, though you are not necessarily expert on architecture here. But this building, this magnificent building, is topped with a dome of such size, such grandeur. It kind of defies the imagination. It's almost as if it's held aloft by the heavens themselves. Something you've quite possibly never seen before. Such a feat.
Yeah, Arisen wasn't exactly the city of domes, was it now?
No, it was the city of pillars, but domes was not necessarily an architectural flair of that civilization. Although maybe it was. You can't quite recall, and you can't quite remember those days in any great clarity. But the boat, the ship, it pulls into a bustling harbor with ships of all shapes and sizes. You have some small fishing vessels pulling in. You have other mercantile vessels. You have a barge, a large barge, carrying heaps upon heaps of what you presume to be containers of grain pulling into the city. And vessels of war as well, these great ships with 2 rows of oars stretching along the length of its berth, these mighty sails and dozens of men propelling this ship through the water, this kind of great spike, a ram of sorts jutting off of the front of it. An impressive navy. Vessels of such size you neither recall or experiences. And more than that, it's such a blend of peoples as the ship pulls into the harbor. A stone, a marker upon the docks, dedicates this harbor to presumably a man. The name Theodosius appears adorned, a testament to perhaps his construction, or at least a construction under this individual's reign. And you realize perhaps another strange aspect of this metropolis that you find yourselves in. A clash of cultures, as it were. Something that kind of itches at your memory. Something unfamiliar. Seeing so many different kinds of people mingling together in the same city. All these different cultures coming together in the name of commerce, perhaps, but nonetheless a dizzying array of people is making their way in, out, harbor. Goods, spices, silks being unloaded and loaded, brought here or elsewhere. And as your vessel, as the captain, pulls into the dock, and the men begin to secure it with ropes, and some of them begin to unload the goods, as it were. A man of, shall we say, kind of middling age, perhaps in his late 30s, or perhaps early 40s, strides rather confidently out upon the boards of the harbor. And you see he bears writing implement of some kind in his hand, and a set of parchment, another codex, if you will, in the other hand. And he begins to kind of size up the vessel, the men that are here, and the goods that it is carrying. And as he approaches, you can already tell the change in demeanor of the men on the docks. It is not a welcome exchange as this man approaches and begins to question the captain, and you overhear bits and pieces of it. Declaration of goods being delivered. What kind, how many, in exacting, excruciating detail. The identities of the men, the sailors on board, where they have come from, how long they deign to stay. And the man forgets, the captain, I should say, forgets for but a moment before speaking to the man here, this official, this bureaucrat manning the docks here. And he mentions that there is another that we had picked up. And the man, the official, his eyes are drawn towards you.
Up the nearly naked old man next to me.
Yeah. I mean, the sailors are probably not, shall we say, particularly well dressed either. But nonetheless, a woman on a vessel is a bit of a strange sight. And more than that, the official's eyes are drawn towards you. And what starts as simple curiosity becomes a bit of obsession, a bit of intention, as the man kind of stops what he's doing and makes his way towards you. Why don't you give me a wits and empathy roll as the man makes its way towards you.
Yep.
2 successes. That's not just a look of attraction in his eyes or some other infatuation. What spark you see in his eyes is recollection. This man knows you. And he's making his way towards you. Very, very intently. And with that, as this fact dawns on you that someone has recognized you, and you're about to hit the wall of bureaucracy, perhaps we shall call this session of ours to a close, and next time we shall pick up with our mission to free Tamos's inheritor from a crumbling Hellenistic fortress. And we will also see who this official is and how he knows Seshet, and whether Seshet should be concerned about this, perhaps rightly so. But nonetheless, how are you guys doing? How do you feel about your characters and where they're heading, and how do you guys feel about the game so far?
I'm doing great. I like being compared to a saint. It's very, it's a nice ego trip.
I'm sure, yeah.
Oh.
I was very happy to take this man, take John's clothing and use it for the benefit of my compatriots.
Well, you know what they say, it's tough to be a god.
Isn't it?
You literally charmed the robes off this guy's back.
Quite literally. Chris, Zavlus, how you guys doing? How do you feel about your characters? How do you feel about the game?
Very excited. Very happy to be in contact with a member of my old cult, and very excited to try out some of these abilities that my character's been probably waiting to use for way too long.
Got all this cosmic power, you just need an outlet to vent it, and I imagine things are going to get vented next session.
Yeah.
Zavlus, how are you doing?
I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun next session.
As do I. I look forward to it. But anyway, that concludes our little session here. Just a shout out, you can find Grog Monster over on his channel on Twitch. And some other things to mention. Thanks for Onyx Path for hosting this little session, for having us here. And thanks to Tabletop Audio for the music that background. And some things to check out coming up soon. I believe the last Friday of the month is the OPP game night that you guys should definitely check out. As well, I believe there's still a 50% off sale on Indie Press Revolution for Onyx Path's OGL titles in print for a limited time. And as well, the Kickstarter, I believe, for Realms of Pugmire 2B, I think started on Tuesday. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And with that, thank you everyone for watching. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you join us again next session of this Mummy the Cursed Chronicle Oceans Letter. Thank you guys, and have a good one.
Later.
Yeah.